Video. We've got TU17 and the season of the sniper, as I'm calling it, on the horizon. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to showcase my favorite sniper build. It's very versatile. You can run it a wide variety of ways. This is by no means the only way to run this. And you'll find plenty of videos on YouTube from other content creators showcasing other setups of very similar builds. But this build caters to my playstyle and my preferences, but you might find that it works well for yours too. So, to start off with, we will show off the specialization that we're going to be using. So obviously it's going to be sharpshooter. It's a little bit of a no-brainer. The main reasons why we are running this is for the breath control, which gives us that 15% increased weapon stability, reduced recoil, and faster reacquisition of targets. You will notice that the heads of enemies are more sticky when you're targeting them. That's that reacquisition of targets. We're also gaining that 15% increased headshot damage with rifles and marksman rifles, which is very, very nice. The armor kit is also very handy, very utilitarian. You're going to get 100% repair on top of being able to remove status effects and increase resistance for status effects. And then we also get some flashbang grenades. These are actually very, very nice for blinding enemies, distracting them, allowing you to get away if you need to. Other niceties on here would be the regeneration of ammo for your marksman rifles. And then you get a little bit of extra armor while you're in cover. So the weapons themselves, I'm running a M1A CQB. Reason being is it has a very high rate of fire. I can spam it if they're up close, or I can slow down my fire rate, and it can be a very precise weapon at longer ranges, and has a lot of power behind it. It's got boomerang as the talent, which is like top 3, I would say, talents you can put on a marksman rifle. Critical hits have a 50% chance to return the bullet, and if that bullet is returned, the next shot does 40% increased damage. Sometimes you'll notice that with boomerang, you can fire an entire clip and it won't proc a single time, but other times it will proc like every other round and you'll just absolutely melt the crap out of the enemy. So there's a little bit of obviously RNG involved with that. As far as the mods that I have on here, I've got a critical hit chance scope, I've got a reload speed grip on there, because the base reload time for this is kind of abysmal, and you only have 15 rounds in the mag, even with the mag extension here. So being able to reload quickly is important, especially since this is my mid to close range fighting weapon. I need that quick reload. And then I've got an accuracy suppressor on here, because this weapon also kind of suffers from poor accuracy. You'll notice, I'll show the bullet spread when we get to the range, but you'll notice that under rapid fire, the bullets kind of go everywhere. So this little accuracy is 10% boost to accuracy definitely helps. The star of the show here is going to be the Mantis. You can run virtually any sniper rifle in this slot and it will do well. You know, you've got your Dread Edict, you've got your Nemesis. So you could even run Diamondback or Dr. Home if you wanted to run an exotic on here as a rifle. But I chose Mantis. Reason being is it's very snappy. It's great for just popping up, taking a shot, and then going back behind cover. Very quick reload, good rate of fire. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with this weapon, its talent is the in plain sight. So you're going to get enemy information in the scope when you're scoped in. It's very handy. It highlights the head, tells you when an enemy is targeting you. It will highlight weak points. It's very nice. And enemies that aren't currently targeting you will take an additional 50% damage. And your headshot kills will reset the cooldown of the decoy skill, which is why if you're going to run Mantis, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you run decoy and not turret. I need to switch this. I don't know why this is here. There, decoy. Okay, because every time you get a headshot, it resets it. So you're constantly chaining these decoys. And the enemy is paying more attention to it than to you, which works on 2 levels. First, you're not taking a bunch of aggro because, as you can see, there isn't a speck of armor anywhere on this build. And number 2, when they're not paying attention to you, the Mantis does more damage. So, extremely useful. My pistol is whatever, but in this instance, I'm running the Mozambique Special because it's talent. Perfect breadbasket revolves around headshots, and this whole build is about headshots. So why not? This will actually do millions of damage if you're landing headshots with it. So it's not useless by any means, and it is there if you need it, but I can't say that I use it all that often. You can see the build itself. We're running a 2-piece Araldi, 1-piece Grupo, 1-piece Walker, 1-piece Cheska, and of course everybody's favorite, the Fox's Prayer knee pads. So we'll start off with the Grupo Sombra. We're getting that 15% critical hit damage with the 1-piece. I've got weapon handling rolled to several of these gear items, first being the Grupo Sombra. Got critical hit chance and critical hit damage mod on there. And then for the chest, we are running the extremely popular chest piece for all sniper builds, the Chain Killer. There's a reason why everybody runs this, because it is absolutely nasty once you start getting those stacks. So the 1-piece is going to grant us the 5% weapon damage. I also have weapon handling rolled onto this chest piece. I'll tell you why here in a second. I've got critical hit damage and a critical hit chance mod on there. And then you've got the perfect headhunter. You don't have to have perfect headhunter for this to be powerful, but you are going to get a little bit more with this. So you could just get a regular headhunter rolled onto a Walker chest piece and it will do just fine. Just FYI. But the way Headhunter works is after you kill an enemy with a headshot, your next weapon hit within 30 seconds deals an additional 150% of that killing blow's damage. There is a damage cap to it, but it is raised if your headshot damage is greater than 150%, which on this build it absolutely is. I will show you the stats here in a bit. For the holster, we're running that Cheska, so we're getting that additional 10% critical hit chance. I've got critical hit chance and critical hit damage rolled onto there. For the backpack, I went with Araldi with Composure. Now you can run this with Vigilance and you'll get a little bit of extra damage out of it, but I have found through personal experimentation that Composure is better for this build, for my playstyle and my preferences, because as soon as you get nicked with a bullet, take any kind of damage, you're losing that vigilance for a few seconds, whereas with Composure, as long as you are in cover, you have that 15% weapon damage always up. And with this build, you are absolutely relying on cover. You are not fighting out in the open. So basically, Composure is always up when I'm in combat. So with the 2-piece Araldi that we're running, you're getting that 10% marksman rifle damage, 15% headshot damage, and then I've got another weapon handling attribute on there, along with critical hit chance, critical hit damage. I'm sure you can see a trend going here. This is the 2nd piece of Araldi, critical hit chance, critical hit damage rolled onto there. And then I'm running the Fox's Prayer with critical hit chance, and of course its inherent attribute damage to targets out of cover. You'll notice that I don't actually have a ton of headshot damage. Like, not every single piece is like headshot, 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 like you see a lot of sniper builds. I have found just through playing with this build that this amount of headshot damage is all that is really necessary for it to shine. I feel like there's a bit of reduced returns, stacking a whole bunch of headshot damage. And the other reason why I don't have tons of headshot is because I wanted this to be a critical hit chance, critical hit damage build as well, so that the M1A can shine, because I'm not really using this to shoot anyone in the head, and I needed a very viable mid-range to close range weapon that I could use to defend myself when, you know, somebody's pushing, or there's multiple targets and I just can't take them down quick enough with the Mantis. I needed some sort of a backup that wasn't just going to be shooting marshmallows. And the combination of all the critical hit chance and damage thrown on here with the M1A works incredibly well. You can see for the skills, we've got the decoy, and then we've got the reviver hide for those instances where I do go down and I need to get revived for obvious reasons. So let me show you the stats on this. So for the M1A, we've got, you can see that it's at the 60% cap. I believe it's actually 61%. So I'm losing out on, I've got a 1% wasted with the critical hit chance, but I wanted to get it as close to 60% as possible and then invest everything else into critical hit damage. So I've got that 137% critical hit damage and 110% headshot damage. And then for the Mantis, we're sitting at that sweet 60% cap of critical hit chance, 100% critical hit damage, and you can see with the headshot damage, we are above that 150% mark. So we're sitting at 201% headshot damage with the Mantis. Works hand in hand with Perfect Headhunter. And then here's the pistol, if you're curious, 6% and 125 with 145% headshot damage. Now, this for stability, actually, let me show that real quick. Between all the stability mods put on here, I'm sitting at 24% weapon handling. I have found this to be kind of the sweet spot. I could have rolled more onto here, and I have in the past, but I found that the difference between the 24% and another 8% weapon handling is very minimal. So this is kind of the sweet spot for weapon handling. As far as like group performance goes with this weapon, I would switch out the Mantis for the Nemesis if I were to run this in a group, simply because of the enemy group scaling that occurs. So if I'm running the 4-man, I'm slapping the Nemesis on here, and I am going to trade out the decoy for a turret. Simply because the turret stays up longer, it's a great distraction. With the decoy, it's only up for so long, and there's really no way to reduce its cooldown any further. So this is a more viable option for a loadout that's geared like this. The Nemesis does a ton of damage. Its only downside is that you have to charge each round, so you're out of cover charging and trying to get a beat on somebody's head. So there's some trade-offs going on there, but I have tried this with the Mantis in the group setting, and it performs okay, but it becomes increasingly difficult to get those one-shot headshot kills, and that's why I always suggest you go with a sniper rifle that does more damage in that slot. Otherwise, it does just fine. If you're playing solo, you can play it solo heroic. It does exceptionally well. If you're playing on lower difficulties with a group, it does just fine as well. I would not recommend this for Countdown. Let's see. Let's head to the firing range and do some demonstrations here. As far as farming this set, I would just recommend you hop into Countdown. These are all going to be pretty darn easy to farm. Because the core attributes for these gear sets, by default, they're all going to drop for weapon damage, so you don't have to worry about re-rolling a core attribute. The secondary attributes for these gear sets are heavily weighted to headshot damage and like critical hit chance, critical hit damage. So getting a piece to drop with those attributes on it is going to be an absolute breeze. And of course, you can tweak this to your liking. If you find that you don't like the weapon handling attributes on there and you'd rather have something like headshot damage or more critical hit damage or something like that, you, of course, are more than welcome to do that. And before we get into like damage numbers and whatever, let me just go over my little expertise disclaimer. I do have these two pieces rolled to expertise level 15, so if you're not getting the same damage numbers as I am, that would be why. I also have a little bit invested into the decoy to put it over the 100%, what is it, 100% threat, I believe this is called? Yeah, threat. So you can see I'm sitting at 105% threat on that. I can't say that I've noticed a difference between 100% and 105%. You probably won't either. So I'm not entirely sure how worthwhile it is to invest expertise into it, but I had a bunch of extra resources burning a hole in my pocket, so I was just like, why not? All right, so you can see that my range is set to heroic. You can see in the upper left-hand corner that it is also set to heroic. So I am now going to set this to elite. I'll set this to elite. I'm just going to do a quick damage demonstration of the two. And this is going to be without the Headhunter procced. Start with the M1A. We're going to set this to 10. This is going to be kind of the ideal engagement range for the M1A. It's going to be somewhere between 10 and 15. So body shots, 1.3 million. Headshot, 2.2 million, and that's with a crit. And you can see how fast he melts if I just spam it at this range. This is body shots. Not bad. Headshots. All right. Let me switch to the Mantis here. I need this Headhunter proc to go away though, so I'm just gonna go ahead and shoot this guy real quick. All right, no Headhunter proc. Body shot, there's a body shot crit, 2.6. Headshot, a non-crit, but it's 5.3, I believe. See if I can get a headshot crit to proc. Nice. Come on, show me the headshot. There it is, 7.552 million headshot, and that's without any procs from the Perfect Headhunter. Now let's get some Headhunter procs going here. All right, this is gonna be kind of hard to read. Probably gonna have to slow this video down when I upload it, and I'll put the numbers down in the description because I don't think I can actually see what this is hitting for. It's like 20 something million, 21 million, 23 million, somewhere around there. So a lot. This will one tap a boss. The boss. Bye bye. So once you've got the full procs going, it's extremely deadly. In my personal experience, having one stack is more than enough to start chain killing elites. So ideally the way this would go or right at the beginning of an engagement is you would headshot like a red or a purple to get the chain going, and then switch to elites and then just clean house. See if I can show that here. I can get some purples. Purples? There's a purple. So you can see right off the rip, one shot will take down a veteran, and then you can just start chaining elites. Just like that. All right. So with that said, I believe I've gone over everything I wanted to go over here. So let's take this out into the world and kind of show you guys how this works. We're just going to go and take a checkpoint here. Let's see, what's a good checkpoint? Let's go with the nest.
Civilians in danger.
And when I'm done with the nest here, I just wanted to go over one more quick thing back at the range. And I want to cover weapon handling and how that benefits a sniper build. Don't let me forget. Toss out the decoy. You can see how it highlights their head, and now that she's got that little red reticle over her head, that means she's targeting me. So I'm gonna look for someone who's not currently targeting me like him. got this guy up here. It looks like there are enemies approaching from behind. That's not great.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
I don't know where they came from, but it's time for me to move. Might actually die here. I'm not sure if I can get out of this. I have no idea where they came from, but we're switching to the M1A. Here's some more some quick attacks here, because obviously I'm not going to want to use a sniper rifle for this. All right, we're just going to reposition. Now, this is a good demonstration, though. This shows you know, what happens when you can get pushed, what to do in a pushing situation. You've got Mr.
Civilians in danger.
Oh, that's not good. Yep, going down.
Agent incapacitated.
Well, that's why we have the Reviver Hive. Okay, but that lawnmower's got to go. Yeah. This out. I need to take care of this guy that's in the minigun. You'll have to forgive my aim. I'm an incredibly average sniper. My shots aren't the best. Alright, I just need him to get off of there. There's somebody approaching. You can see that the M1A does some work. See if we can push up here without getting absolutely shredded. I'm going to go ahead and call in reinforcements.
Reinforcements en route. Civilians in distress.
And he's back on there. Let's see if I can get him with a flashbang. Can't throw it quite far enough. Let's get a decoy out. Go. Pretty sure that was a headshot, but okay. You can see that I am an incredibly average sniper. On full display for everyone. Okay, can toss out another one.
Move now. That hurting.
Civilians
Come on.
in danger.
Okay.
Serious trauma.
And there's somebody back on there. Back on the minigun. But reinforcements are here, so I've got some distractions, which is good. Distractions are a sniper's best friend. Dividing the enemy's attention is just so important. So they're going to take care of him. I'm going to take the high ground here. I'm going to shoot down at him. Yeah, they got him.
Heavily armored hostile detected.
Somebody's spawning over here. Get rid of his cronies here too. You can see how I'm always sticking near to cover. Definitely don't want to just be running around out in the open, as was demonstrated earlier by my taking absolutely tons of aggro.
Detecting
this.
additional hostile contacts.
Go.
I'll take the big gun.
Toss out a decoy. They're all currently targeting, but see, you toss out the decoy, and now none of them are targeting.
I need you back with me.
Here comes a grenade. Where's it going to land? Okay, good.
Get out. I got it.
Switch to my M1. I hear a Splody. Where is he at? Oh, he's already up here. Hello. Yeah, he's going after them.
We can win with the sun on our side. Take it out.
Or is he coming up here? Oh, he's coming up here. Okay, good.
This armor is finished.
Incoming backup request.
I need to reload.
Heavily armored hostile detected.
Let's see how it highlights their satchels. It'll highlight their weak points just like that. It's a little easier to spot, especially in low light situations. There's the boss. Let me toss out a decoy. Oh no. There we go. Okay, here comes one. It's fun.
Anyone got spare plates?
So within CQB range, just use that.
I did it.
And I shoot through the barbs. Well, it would help if I didn't miss, but yes. All right. Let's head back to base. And let me really quickly go over weapon handling and why it's important on sniper builds, besides the obvious.
Black tusks in
All right, let's go to the range. Doo-doo-doo.
Supply room access unlocked.
So the number one reason why it's important is because of a thing called scope sway, and I'll show you what I mean by scope sway. Let me set this to, I'll set this to 15. Let me really quickly put on a build that has no weapon handling on it whatsoever. So we got triple threat. Let me just show you the stats real quick to show that I'm not full of crap. Why does it say I'm at 25% weapon handling? I have no weapon handling. Oh, right, because it's a striker set. Okay, let's do one that doesn't have any. There we go. Sorry. Okay, so this one's just sitting at 10% weapon handling. There's weapon handling somewhere on here. Let me break out the Mantis. Oops. Break out the Mantis. There we go. All right, and then let me show you what the scope does. You can see how the scope is moving. Kind of aggressively, kind of has this pattern. Moves around. So when you have a lot of scope sway, it makes sniping very difficult if you're pop shotting. So if you're just popping out of cover, taking a shot, and then hiding again. That scope sway will determine where that bullet goes. This is less important if they're close, but the further away the target is from you, the more important the stability aspect of this comes in place. So if they're very, very far away, let me actually set this to really far away. Okay, so they're very far away. You'll notice that the scope sway can be all over the place. Right there, that would be a miss if I fired. You know, still headshots. That would probably be a miss. That would be a miss if I fired. That would be a miss. That would definitely be a miss if I'm firing. Now, as far as my understanding of this mechanic, it's always kind of working in the background, meaning that every time you ADS, it's not exactly centered. It's somewhere, you can see how it's in different spots every time I ADS. All right, so that one's, in his jaw. That one's by his ear, and I haven't moved my sticks at all. Okay, that one would have been a miss. That one would have been a huge miss, and I haven't done anything other than ADS and un-ADS. So from my understanding with this mechanic, it's always working in the background. So it's never gonna pop up in the same spot twice. It's gonna be all over the place. So when you're pop shotting, you're popping up, you're shooting, you're completely whiffing, you're all over the place, you're trying to get that headshot. You were lined up on their head previously, but now you're not. And this is where weapon handling comes in. Weapon handling reduces scope sway and makes follow-up shots very easy, or easier, should I say. So let me go back to my Snipey Boi build, and as I mentioned earlier, this one's got weapon handling. There we go. So we're sitting at 24% weapon handling as well as the 15% that this particular specialization has inherently. So now we've got a lot of weapon handling. And now you can notice how little the scope actually moves around. Very slight movements. Okay, let me show you the long range. All right, let me center on his head and then watch the scope sway. It will still move, and you can increase the weapon handling on this, but I've just found that this is kind of a sweet spot for it. I didn't want to sacrifice too much damage. But you can see how the scope sway isn't quite as severe. So this makes pop shotting much more viable. It makes follow-up shots a lot easier. And you'll find that with more weapon handling, you're less prone to missing with sniper rifles. All right, that's going to do it for this build. Thank you everyone for watching. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I'll see you all in the next one.